Yeah, welcome back. It's a long time that I was making a video in English. I was actually starting to do a German video some time ago, 1 week ago, and yeah, like I said in the video in German, I was thinking of also doing more videos like I did a long time in the past. Before all this influencer stuff came up and YouTubers came up and everything, I was actually doing English and German language videos on different topics. And I was thinking, why not start it again? I mean, it was fun. It is fun. So let's see where it goes. I'm not sure if I will go do this much now or like much often. I'm also not planning on becoming like something like an influencer now or something. Uh, I just thought it's fun to share thoughts, engage in discussions and everything. Many people do it, so I was thinking, why not do it again? I mean, I did it before it was cool, so I can also do it again. So, and for today's topic, I was thinking of one talking about something that's very controversial at the moment, and that is climate change. We have much issues about it, and it's actually also a bit on my nerves um, to have this kind of yeah catastrophic kind of scenarios that you're confronted every day in the news. I mean, when you follow the news a bit more thoroughly, it's something that you also, of course, also see in other parts on in social media. It's already presented also like people. I'm not the first one who says this. I'm saying that you see things like compare like weather forecasts and everything from 10 years, 15 years ago and today. Like one of the common things is, for example, they show you okay when it's like 22 degrees. I mean, I have to say I see it much from German perspective. German perspective, I think, is also a bit extreme. But I think it's not just a German one; it's also a European one. I think Americans also have something in this, so that's why I also decided to make this an international video, like talking in English and not in German. Even though Germans are very extreme in this. And for example, one thing that we have, especially in Germany, that they, for example, I don't know, it's 22, 23 degrees in summer, and they make the map completely red, like it's like extremely hot, like but which they usually used to do with 30 degrees Celsius. I mean, of course, not Fahrenheit, Celsius, like 30 degrees Celsius in the past. And now when it's like 20 degrees, they already make, or 24 degrees, they make the whole Germany map red, like dark red. And also other things. And basically, every time when the summer comes, they are saying this will be a super hot summer. Also, this year they say it. I mean, so of course it can happen. And if it happens one time, then we'll say, "See, we told you so." But they also said the last years, and it did not happen. And they also actually use every time when there is some kind of warmer period, like a few weeks warmer, to make a fuss out of it, like to tell you, "Oh, it's getting super hot now. We have climate change." The best thing was actually 2 years ago. 2 years ago, I'm not sure when it was, 2021, 2020, I'm not sure. We had 2018, extremely hot summer. 2018, it was like many weeks, almost 40 degrees in Germany. It was extreme. And 2019 was extremely dry. But then also afterwards, it was also like we also had dry periods and stuff, but it normalized again, and we didn't have actually that hot summers. Like people remember it like this. You talk to people, they say was extremely hot and everything. It's getting hotter and hotter every year. It's not true. Like when you really pay attention, and it's not like this. Like the last summers in Germany were actually okay. I mean, we had sometimes a few dry parts. For example, this summer we also had a dry period. There was like 3 weeks no rain. Everyone was going crazy. And like every year, that's what I was saying. They also say in the beginning this will be a super hot, catastrophic hot summer. Uh, and next month it comes, a huge summer comes. So far, not. We have a polar air. We have now it's June. It's like yeah, June started a few weeks into June, or a few days into, like 1 2 weeks into June, and yeah, we have like even 18 degrees. Actually, last days I was walking around in like a hoodie and stuff because it was cool. And yeah, and I mean, it's also okay to do things for climate change. Like it's okay to check about the waste that you go a bit for recycle stuff and don't throw everything together in the same box or something, you know. And there also are things that we did in the past. For example, we had in the 90s, especially or 2000s, there was a problem with the ozone layer. We had this hole basically inside. And one of the major, this was something that was really made by humans, because I'm also talking about this kind of idea that climate change is done by humans, which is also, I'm not sure about it, because There are things like this ozone layer thing problem there because of all these. I think the air conditioners were it, for example, making these FCKW stuff. Like it came into the atmosphere and it produced. Basically, it made this hole grow bigger. And I think especially in Australia, they had a huge issue with it. You could not go to the beach because otherwise you basically get too much UV on your skin, radiation basically. And but then we stopped using these machines like the ACs with FCKW, at least for like a huge, like much less use them, and so the whole regenerated, like basically the ozone layer regenerated, and this problem was basically solved, you can say. And this is something, of course, we had to act there. We did act, and it was good. And other things you can also follow. I mean, for example, in the industry that you say, okay, we go a bit away from plastic and we go more for other things, like for example, where you can use paper instead of plastics. It also makes sense. I mean, we all know these pictures of turtles being in the beach with like these Q-tips having in their noses or something like this. It's unnecessary. And when you have paper Q-tips who maybe dissolve themselves, of course, is the problem you do not have anymore. Even though I'm not sure if you have to throw everything to the ocean, is another topic. Of course, the best thing would be if you can just shoot into space, like the things that you cannot recycle. I don't, but that would also be expensive, and of course, we have all the energy and petrol and stuff that you use for bringing it there. This is also not that easy. Of course, the interesting thing is, of course, when you talk about many people also say like you have to have windmills and everything, and this is where coming like do something that makes sense, like with this FCKW, but don't do things that don't make sense. It's a bit bullshit. I mean, windmills and solar energy, they are also okay for a certain extent, like for adding, but they cannot replace everything. And when there's also this kind of talk that nuclear energy is bad for environment, and I'm not saying I'm the hugest fan of nuclear energy, but also there's much myths around it. I mean, you have to check how they actually store this nuclear waste. It's stored in these containers, and they close them and they bury them, and this takes a very long time until it goes away. But at some point it goes away, and basically the waste disappears. So it's not that it's like, I don't know, like completely polluting the whole earth or something like this. And windmills actually are also not that good when they start to burn. It's a huge catastrophic event. And when they you can recycle them properly. Like, I mean, you can search a bit what they do with these blades. They basically bury them somewhere, or they bring them to, for example, in Germany, there's also companies they buy from Germany, and they're in Poland, I think, or in some other countries close to Germany, like border countries. And basically, some reporters were also searching and looking what's going on there. They have huge halls, huge buildings, like factory buildings, but they're empty, and they just store them there and under some name. For nothing. Like, it's also a huge problem actually. And then of course there's a wake effect. You can Google what the wake effect is, done by these these plants, with these windmill plants. And then you have of course the problem with the birds. It's also not good for they are not that good for the environment after all. I'm not saying you have to cut all the windmills down, you have to cut all the solar energy down, you should only do nuclear power, but also you can do a mix maybe, like something, especially because wind energy and sun energy also do not much when you don't have much wind or not much sun in some parts, in some regions. And also don't become stupid, like for example paper straws. Like, okay, like I said, with Q-tips and stuff, I can understand. I still actually have to say I like the Q-tips more when they were out of plastic. They were just easier to handle, I don't know, like, but I can understand, okay, the one out of cotton, they also work, do their job, so it's okay. Paper straws, if they don't work, what do you do with them? Like, for example, in Germany, they're also extreme with paper straws. For example, many McDonald's, they give you paper straws only for milkshakes, but they don't work. You cannot get anything out of it. Like, you cannot drink it basically because it's just the thick substance doesn't go through the paper straws. And in Coca-Cola, like Coke, Fanta, or whatever, they don't even give them to you anymore. But then, and when you drink inside of the restaurant, you also, like in the McDonald's restaurant, you don't even often get the lids on top, and then they give you the Coke without the straw, without the lid. And if you ask for a paper straw, they say, no, they're only for milkshakes. Like, what the fuck? Are you fucking kidding me? Why are they only for milkshakes? Like at some point it's enough. Then you have to drink it with without anything. Not even this paper lid. It's also paper, basically. and they put ice inside, ice cubes, and you can configure your drinks in this thing. But I mean, maybe I didn't find it so far, but I was searching many times already in this configuration machine, like where you can place your order. If you can say I don't want ice cubes inside, because how do you drink then? You drink the Coke. Oh, ice comes. Oh, ice comes. You cannot drink like this. Like, what the fuck is this? So I think one should not go stupid. And if some things are maybe not the best for environment, but it just doesn't make sense to do something else, then either find the good solution or go for at some time for the bad solution. I mean, I'm actually thinking of ordering plastic straws from China and just put them to my bags, everywhere, and then when I go to McDonald's, I just use my plastic straw and go fuck yourself, And a similar thing, like with the windmills, is the electric cars. Like, there's also this myth, like, oh, we do something for environment, we all use electric cars, and I'm like, what the fuck? First, you can look how is the process of manufacturing the batteries. It's extremely bad for environment. Like these batteries, like they also say that it takes, I think, 12 or even 14 years, 12 until 14 years until an electric car is actually better than a normal car, like like a petrol car, like that uses petrol and like gas. And but what about the batteries? Like after 12 to 14 years, you need a new battery. So basically, this calculation doesn't go up anyway. Even if you use your car for 12 years, your electric car, or 14 years or longer, if you want to use the electric car for 20 years, the batteries will have to be changed probably anyway after a few years. So this calculation doesn't go up. That means the electric car is never better than a petrol car for environment. It's complete bullshit. And if they burn, of course, then they never stop. You cannot even put water on them. It's like catastrophic. So this whole electric car thing is also basically a scam. It's just an industry. It started in the wrong direction, and they actually in Germany have in Eastern Germany there's a company who produces some kind of petrol that is actually to a high degree recyclable. It's a very good petrol, and like for environment, I mean. But the problem is because now the electric car industries, they're probably, I don't know, the German government at least doesn't support them, doesn't buy from them. They have a few customers in outside of Germany where they sell to, and I'm like, what the fuck is this? Like this company is basically making a very good product, but you do not support it because you want to go. I don't know, probably because you want to go for electric, because once the market is there now, you cannot just stop it, because then you would fuck up the whole industry or whatever, or economy. But I don't know, maybe H2 would also be a better alternative. So far, of course, you don't have the reach with them. You could use something like these kind of like cells, like these H2 cells that you can use it for replacing. You take some with them, and when they're empty, you just take one out of your thing and you put another one inside, and then you have the stuff inside, basically like having petrol with you. But I'm not sure. This is probably something you have to have more research on. But I don't think that electric cars is doing anything good for environment. And I'm also not sure about, I mean, when you think about how many things these days are electric, how this will be like in 10, 20 years. Like all these electric cars now, but you don't have just electric cars. You also have the electric, these kind of kickboards, these rollers, like everywhere, like now in the cities, especially also in Germany. I'm not sure, like, of course, I'm talking much from a German perspective, but these things are everywhere, I think. And all these batteries, when they go out of service, like, what happens? What do we do with all these batteries in 20 years? I'm not sure. I mean, I think it will be a huge problem. And at the same time, there is this kind of panic that they produce, which I already started saying in the beginning, also when these news in Germany, especially about climate change, and we have man-made climate change, and poles are melting, and all this bullshit. And it's also like, why do you make this panic? Because it's not even true. Like, but you talk to many people, and they say also, yeah, statistically, it became much warmer in the last years. No, it's actually not true, because when you see, but where's the statistic, you always have to ask yourself, where does the statistic come from? What is the data? And then when you search and you find that there are many ghost stations, for example, that are used for claiming it gets warmer. But these ghost stations, that's why they're called ghost stations, like they take stations, and when you look, there are people who actually hunt basically ghost stations. That's why I also know about them, and they are looking the station what they use as a reference. Is it even used still? And then it's not even there anymore. It's not active anymore. So they are, for the statistics that they use for telling you how the weather is, they use stations that are not there anymore. And on the other hand, they also take stations out on purpose that are not in favor of this kind of ideology that they want to support. Like, for example, also when you say in Germany, for example, you have like 4 cities, like 4 stations and 4 cities in Germany, and like 2 of them were last year saying, okay, in a certain time we had 22 degrees, and 2 other ones were like we had 28 degrees. They take the 2 out from last year, don't use them anymore, that said 22 degrees. They only say take the 2 that have 28 degrees in the other warmer areas. And then when next year they have similar readings and just take the ones with 28, suddenly your average warmth becomes 28 instead of like between 22 and 28, And then you can say, statistically it became warmer, but it's not the reality. It's just the statistics that you basically forged. And I don't know, people have to wake up, I think, a bit and not always like repeat this kind of bullshit. That's why I'm saying, that's also why I decided to make this video, because it's really on my nerves. Like, it's so stupid, and you always have to ask what are the facts. You have to go after it, like where's the data coming from? Also the poles are melting, Yeah, there are poles are melting, but it's also not true that all of them are melting, because there actually also are poles are regenerating themselves. There are many routes that ships used to take in the past, like through the water, which they cannot take anymore because the ice is regenerating itself, or like there's basic ice coming, like it's no ice. The ice grew there, which means also that ice is not just going away and everything melting, it's also coming new ice, So I'm not saying that the poles are like now completely regenerating themselves and it becomes at some point like we have everywhere new icebergs like very fast, very soon. But also, climate is something, and the weather, that's all something that is has its own process, its own kind of cycle also. Like some things, like with the ozone layer, you can, of course, influence. And you should also be, of course, careful, but it's not that everything is man-made, making worse and bad and influence that much. Like weather has its own kind of stuff. Like we are now living also not in a... we are actually living in an ice age, which people do not really understand. Ice age means we have ice, we have poles. So if the poles are going away, it would not even be something not like something... It would be just a normal phenomenon, because then we would not be in ice age anymore. We would be like in a not ice age, I don't know, a warm age. But we're now in a warm period of an ice age, because we have poles actually, and but it's a bit warmer. But it's not that we made it warm now these days. I mean, the Romans and the antique, like more than 2,000 years ago, they also had a warm, actually very warm period. And they didn't have cars, they didn't have these, they didn't have like factories. So it's the weather itself. And this is also something with the weather forecasts, which are actually really criticized. They were more open, more realistic, more scientific in the past. Because I used to check, or I still do these days, I check the weather actually every day. I need it also when I for work and everything, because I need to know how the conditions are. And in the past, they always explained to you, like they were saying, like, okay, for example, we have some phenomenon we call the whip of Russia. This is when there comes a sudden cold from Russia, and not from Russia. Okay, it can be from Russia, basically. That's, I think, where it comes from. It comes from Siberia or something, I think, which comes in spring around. Then there's something like the sheep cold, which is, I think, in June, July. It can be also sudden. There can be a sudden cold. And these things were always like explained. But today they don't say that much anymore about these things. They just say, it's very uncommon that it's so cold now in this time, or it's very uncommon that it's so hot now in this time. And then they talk about global warming and when it's warm. But it's not like when it gets, for example, warmer. It's not warmer because the Earth gets warmer because we have a global warming. It's not warmer. It's not that the sun is hotter now. The warm, the cold, it's like it's basically air. It's airstreams. Like, for example, in Germany, we often get airstreams from the Sahara Desert. And then there can be, sometimes it's just a few days, sometimes it's a week, can be even 2 weeks. And sometimes you can also have it like for 1 week, then a few days it stops, then you have another one. And then it can be also like 40 degrees. And then, this was the example I wanted to tell in the beginning, which was when I was talking about 2020 or 2021. There was then also, we had this 2 weeks, the whole summer was actually not that cold, and not that warm. And with this 1 week or 2 weeks, I think it was not even 2 weeks, but it was like over 30 degrees, where we also get the Sahara warmth. And it was when these people from Fridays for Future, they were putting themselves on the street, and they made this kind of protest where they put this, like when you have a crime scene and people have this chalk around them, like, about the dead bodies. They put this chalk around the detectives or the police. And they made this, they lied themselves, they were lying on the ground, they made this chalk around them, like, and said, we are killed by global warmth or whatever. And it was only this 1 week warm, and the rest of the summer afterwards was completely normal. So I was like, okay, you guys, the first warmth you got, or heat that you used for your agenda, but then afterwards it was over, so didn't go that well. And I mean, they're all praying at home all the time for, I think, for hot summer, so they can say, oh, I see this global warmth and stuff. But even now, like I said, we have, for example, it's all airstreams at the moment in Germany. It's I just said it in the beginning, we have it's actually rather chilly, especially for June. But why? Because of we have polar air here. Like it came over. It's a second airstream already with polar air, which we have like now back to back. We had also 27 degrees like 1 week ago, I think, in this area. Okay, it's also, I'm talking about different areas. We have, of course, not North Germany, East Germany, South Germany. It's always a bit different from the temperature. But then, of course, I'm just talking a bit from the area where I am living, and but much of Germany actually. Yeah, this is basically the same like the Sahara air that can make it like very hot. So this is also like the polar air can make it cold, but it's not. Like I said, the sun is burning more, the ground is getting hotter. It is just air streams, basically. And yeah, and this is basically it. It's like, it's basically much agenda, much scam and stuff. They always need to have something. I have the feeling to, I don't know what is the reason behind this, if it's to create some kind of fear to control people easily. I mean, maybe, I mean, we also had, I mean, we just had the Corona topic. The Corona topic was over. Actually, I could also make a video about this. This was also like a huge thing, but this would be like also a long video. But this Corona, like COVID-19 time, in this time, there was not that much. These Friday for Future protests, they were actually very prominent before COVID hit. Then they had this COVID time, where all the time everything was about COVID. No one was talking about the weather anymore. Like suddenly the weather was okay, no problem. Before it was like, oh, we will all die, the weather's the worst. Then the COVID came, and COVID is over, and they started again directly with weather. And there were even people saying it. I mean, these are things, I'm not much into this conspiracy theories in general, but there were people who were working, I forgot who it was. There was a guy who was working for some news agency or something, and he was saying during COVID times, the next huge thing will be climate, where we will, or where it will be tried to make a panic and everything. And he said, mark my words. And I was thinking this time, I read this somewhere, I think on the internet. I don't know where I read it. But I was thinking, okay, yeah. But okay, it came true. I mean, maybe it was just a lucky guess from him. Maybe, or like some talk and he was lucky that it came true. I don't know. But like I said, I also forgot who said it. But basically it was true. And so he might also have said the truth. I'm not sure. Like, I'm not going huge into conspiracy theories in general. I'm just like, I like to have like about the science, and that's also something about journalism during COVID times, that people listen to science and to logic, to reason, and also ask like, why is something like this? And when someone tells you like this is happening, you have to ask why. What is your sources? Why are you talking like this? Like everything I'm saying here, of course, you can also check if you Google, you will find this. Also, this part about, but people never believe me, that there is also when I talk about the poles, that there is also ice coming. That new ice comes, and even ship routes are like not usable anymore with over the sea. That it's not something I saw in some social media stuff or some Instagram whatever. It is something that I saw in documentaries in public television, also two different ones, and it's also easily to be found, especially these days with AI. You can just ask AI about it and he can find you the sources. So basically everything I'm saying here is not something I pull out of my ass or anything. It's actually facts, and that's what I'm saying. It's a problem that you that's something you also have to say, like also with this weather station. So you have to ask, when someone tells you statistically got warmer, yeah, give me your sources. I want to know why you're saying this. Why is it like this? You also have to, this is the mind that the train you normally, or used to train you in the past. I'm not sure how our students are trained these days, but it's something that students were trained in the past to always to ask, and you have to have sources when you claim something. Why is it like this? And what are your, where is it coming from? Like, where's the data? What is the data? How is it used? Yeah. So this was, I think, basically all I had to, in a more or less shorter way, to say about this topic. Okay, already almost half an hour. It's enough, 25 minutes. Yeah. If you have also any comments, of course, ideas, thoughts, feel free to put into comments. If I'm also always free to make more videos to same topics, of course. If there's so much stuff coming up at some point, I will also answer to comments, of course. But if something seems to be unclear, or there's someone who says, okay, there's some side topic or further topic connected to this that one should maybe discuss, it's also, of course, always possible to make follow-up videos. But for now, I think this is okay. And yeah, let me know what you think.